They say that nostalgia is a gift, because what a privilege it is to yearn for your own memories. Good afternoon to all the students, teachers, parents, honored guests, and of course, my proud fellow graduates of the class of 2025. As I stand here today, on the stage of Aria Hall, and at the edge of something entirely new, I cannot help but look back. In less than 2 months, we'll all be heading off to university, and it will have been 8 years since our very first Year 6 Dolphins class stepped through the door of the D3 building. Somewhere in between, we grew up. I remember DBS before it had classrooms, before it had corridors filled with noise and life, when it was just a quiet patch of land next to where I live. I saw it rise from the ground up, and with it, so did we. I remember the first activity we did as Year 6s, coming down to what I believe is this very spot I'm standing on right now, except 8 years ago, it wasn't Aria Hall. It was a modest rectangular football field, and on that muddy field, us Year 5s and 6s, many of whom are still sitting here today, ran around learning each other's names for the very first time. I remember our first computing lesson, when I asked Mrs. Hall what the 25 in our email addresses stood for. She replied, "It's the year you'll graduate." I blinked at her in disbelief and asked whether that meant graduation from university or just DBS. Because to me then, the year 2025 was an incomprehensibly distant future that I couldn't begin to picture. But little did I know that the words, "That's like forever away," had somehow turned into right this second in what felt like the blink of an eye. Upon reflection, I am reminded of just how easy it is for us to take our time for granted. But more importantly, how easy it is to take the people we spend that time with for granted too. So, to my graduating Year 13s, seeing all of your faces every day had become one of the few constants in my life for nearly a decade. And I never realized how strange it would feel when that constant is gone, when I wake up next week and we all begin to fade into memories. But what I've also come to realize is that we'll never truly be gone from each other's lives. Not when the reason why I started smiling with my teeth was because the way Felicia does so always lit up any room I am in. Not when I still braid my hair in exactly the way Proud once did for me on our first residential trip. Not knowing that 5 trips later, we'd be having a joint birthday celebration after the Year 12 night safari. And right after that, I remember standing outside Ping's shower cubicle, both of us screaming at the bugs, crawling up bamboo walls, and the icy water running down our backs. Yet somehow, even your worst fear feels manageable when you're not enduring it alone. You know you can never truly disappear from someone's life when you're the reason they ever found courage to sing on the stage. That is what you are to me, Pearl. Thank you for inviting me to perform the show by Lenka in our Year 6 Battle of the Bands, back when the both of us were, quite literally, just a little girl lost in the moment as we sang those very lyrics. Every time I've shared my voice on stage since, like even right now, I'll remember where it all began. At university, I'll probably bake cookies in the microwave and tie my tie perfectly in the way Pan Pan had taught me. And when I return home, the first thing I'll buy from 7-Eleven will be those gaiyang chips shaped like a chicken because Namwon and I shared them almost every lunchtime. But despite the ritual, I'll remind myself to keep trying new things because Yui was generous enough to let me try every snack she brought back from China when I didn't yet know what I liked. She reminded me that unfamiliarity isn't the absence of comfort, but sometimes the beginning of it. Wherever I am, I'll try to adopt the go-with-the-flow attitude that our class affectionately calls the JK mindset. Like when I pushed his wheelchair so forcefully that he flew out and landed on the leg that was already broken. As we laugh over it, I'm reminded of a moment long before that, when we were just Year 6 students who went to summer school in London together. And JK got me a Nerf gun for Secret Santa, even though it's the middle of July. Knowing JK, I doubt he remembers, but I always will. Some phrases stick with you, not because they're profound, but because of who said them. So I'll say, it's for the lore, the way Pun does every time I make a questionable decision in my life. And hopefully, it'll bring me back to the days we spent reading, knowing that there are books I love because he loved them first. And maybe one day, I'll find myself smiling over a plate of fried cabbages without even knowing why, until I realize that my taste buds still recognize the wonderfully greasy ones Pim and I cooked together, laughing as we vlogged the whole thing on his phone. Because even as time wears away the sharp edges of memory, the people who walked beside us will always leave traces behind. Whether you meant to or not, each and every one of you have been imperceptibly and yet irrevocably stitched into the corners of who I've become. Ellie, as someone who's always advocated for my emotional expression, this is the moment you've always been waiting for. The 3 words that you've always wanted me to say that I've refused to ever say because they humanize me far too much for my liking. But here they are. I love you. All of you. Class of 2025, you will never become my past because you are woven into my present and into every version of myself I'll grow into next. So, if there's ever one favor you could do for me, please, call me when you graduate university. Call me when you land your first job or a new job. Call me if you decide to get married. Invite me to your baby showers. But also, call me when things fall apart, when you need someone to rent all of your problems to, when you need quiet company. Or, like if you get fired or divorced or need someone to bail you out of jail or whatever. Because the point is, we will go on to live vast and limitless lives, and we have full, unpredictable, and beautiful futures waiting ahead of us. And I can only hope that the lucky people you tell me about will enjoy growing old with you just as much as I've enjoyed growing up with you. All of the stories I've shared today, all of the memories I carry, they were only possible because of the foundation laid by the people who raised me. To my parents, thank you. Thank you for giving me the confidence that you will dive headfirst into any battle so that I will never have to bear my sorrows alone. Thank you for teaching me how to forgive myself on the days when getting out of bed felt impossible, for reminding me that messing up isn't failure, it's part of growing up. That we change constantly, sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, but neither is a detour, it's all part of the journey. That is the message I want to pass on to the classes of 2026 and 2027 as you prepare to enter one of the most defining years of your life. Remember this. Ironically, the only thing certain in life is its very uncertainty. The path you end up on may not be the one you imagine for yourself, but that doesn't make it the wrong one. It's okay to mourn the lives you might have lived had you made different choices, but be proud of the one you're building, because in the end, the things that determine our lives are not what happens to us, but the meaning that we give to them. The next few years may be the fastest you've ever known, so make the absolute most of it. Be kind to yourself and cherish the people beside you, because all the time in the world is never quite enough to spend with them. And of course, to our teachers, we wouldn't be standing here today without you. Mr. Talat, Mrs. Hamill, Mr. Drake, Mr. Roche, Mrs. McCall, and all of my teachers throughout these 8 years, your sacrifices are behind all of my successes, and for that I will be forever grateful. Thank you to Mr. Mann, who marked the very beginning of our Year 6 Dolphins class, to Mr. Hackett, Kruja, Miss Murray, and everyone along the way. Thank you for making sure we know how to swim. And thank you, DBS, for being the ocean I've called home for almost half of my life. As I end what will be my very last time speaking on this stage, I want to borrow the words of none other than Winnie the Pooh. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so difficult. Thank you. I spend about 200 days in a calendar year at DBS, and I've been doing that for the past 8 years. During that time, I've had such a full scope of experiences that if I hadn't spent those days here, the Om speaking to you now probably wouldn't be the Om that you know. The values at DBS and the wisdom that my teachers have passed on, both in and out of the classroom, are the things that I will carry forward into my future. DBS is the beginning of the person that I am and the beginning of the person that I'm still becoming.